Good afternoon. Welcome to the Open World Forum TV studio. Today we have Sacha LABOUREY, who is CEO of Cloudbees. So Cloudbees is a startup.
Correct.
You've been created in 2010, and you've raised some capital with pretty famous investors. And you are a company who is doing a specific, you are addressing a specific piece of the cloud, the PaaS, the platform as a software. So you are working on open source, you are working on a Linux base.
Correct.
And so can you explain me what you are doing on the PaaS?
Okay. So if you look at the cloud, you have a lot of very useful layers, such as SaaS, very well known, IaaS, infrastructure as a service, like Amazon. And those are very useful to end users and IT people. But there was no real layers that was useful to developers, software developers. And so platform as a service is this layer in between that provides all of the good benefits of the cloud, such as elasticity, pay-as-you-go, and so on, but very much focused on developers' need. And so developers care about source code, about build, test, deployment. They don't care about servers or storage. So that's why we have
So
PaaS.
explain me, you mentioned in our discussion that, for instance, you have a customer who has developed a platform to help people losing weight. Lose it, it's
Exactly.
called. So they bring the application, and what do you do to bring it to the net?
Yeah, so Lose It is a great example of the next generation of companies coming up. It's a tiny company, just 4 persons, 2 in marketing, 2 in development. And they just focus and spend their time on what is going to make their applications the best. Just that, nothing else. And for everything else, like hosting this, setting up the servers, setting up the middleware, making sure that we can scale automatically when they have new customers and so on, we do it. So essentially, they do the business layer, they do where they have their added value, and for everything else, they just push it to Cloudbees, and we handle everything. So this company now has 12 million users. They generate up to 25,000 transactions a minute on the platform, but it's only 4 persons. So that kind of productivity was totally impossible just 3 years ago, and it's only possible now because of the power of the cloud.
So the guy came with you to you with an application he had developed.
Correct.
And so what did you bring? You know, they were at the beginning probably having a couple of hundreds customers, and now they have 15 million customers. And so what did you bring to them? They instead of going to Amazon, for instance, they were able to go to Amazon. So what did you bring to them?
Yeah, so they could have gone to Amazon, and actually they started using Amazon very early on. The problem with Amazon is you're still very much working with IT blocks, Lego blocks from IT. So you're still thinking about servers, about storage, about backups, and so on. And those guys, is this really what they do the best, to manage backups and servers, and installing Linux and making sure that it has been patched correctly and that you have a right version of Tomcat and that your load balancers are smart? All of that, frankly, that's not their matter, right? That's not where they make money. So we do that. We abstract everything. We do all of that complexity for them, and they just focus on where they make money. That's it.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that you are able to just tweak their application very fast and very easily. For instance, they try a new feature. You just have all the ability to test it, to put it on the web very fast, and check if it's useless or not.
Exactly. So that's really the next generation of software development. We've been used to do for 20 years a version 1.0, 2.0, and so on, and it was very long and risk-intensive steps. In the cloud, you don't do a version 1.0, you do a version 0.1, right? Basic one, and then you do micro features. Just a small feature, you push it to production, sometimes even on a daily basis, and then you measure in real time, is this better or not? If you can't measure it, frankly, you should not even be spending time working on it. If you can measure it, look at whether it's better or not. If it's better, keep it. If it's not good, kill it. But don't write a PhD on is this a good feature or not, right? Just get rid of it, and the next day start with another feature. So that's an extremely aggressive and iterative development practice that we see in all of the new business models today.
So who are your customers?
So that's surprising, because initially we thought it would mostly be that type of companies, new type of development, very aggressive and so on. And we have all of those companies as customers, obviously. But we also discovered that more and more traditional companies are using that type of development. And the reason is that you have a lot of new drivers on the market today, like mobile application. Everybody has a mobile phone, right? And so all of those companies which had traditional business models realize they now have to provide those same applications as mobile application. And so the number of new applications they have to implement goes from 10 a year to 100 a year, right? Because they have all of that stuff. Plus, they had to do it yesterday. It's very late. So time to market is very important. And when they go and talk to IT, could you do that for us? Hell no, I can't. Too much work. So they go work with a lot of the famous, services companies you can find around here, and then deploy this on the platform as a service. And in no time, they can be ready and deploy their new application to production.
So speaking of tell me about your market. Who are your competitors? What kind of market are you trying to reach?
So I would say a big part of the market are the traditional middleware vendors. And so those companies have been providing middleware to developers for a decade or more, and they're trying to morph into services companies. So that's not an easy thing. As I told you, software and service, it's not the same business model. So that's the change, the pivot they're trying to achieve. So that's one big category. The other are more of the pure play cloud companies like Google, for example, would be one. Salesforce would be one, and so on. So those companies were really born into the cloud and have really a services approach. And so the expectation is that the companies born in the cloud will be much faster at bringing this innovation.
But on the cloud, most of these companies are developing proprietary platforms to access the cloud.
Yeah, so I think the notion of open versus proprietary is slowly moving away, because as we move to a service era where people are consuming services, I think they might still care about open source as open code, right? But a lot of those companies don't want to touch code anymore, right? They want to touch their own code, but when it comes to the services they consume, they want to make sure that the APIs are open, that they can switch from one vendor to the other, that they could reproduce that internally on their own data center. That's what they care about. But the notion of openness changes a bit.
So what do you want to achieve within, let's say, 10 years?
So I think if you fast forward in 2020, I think we're going to see 80% of the market running in the public cloud as a service. People will be consuming SaaS or deploying custom application on PaaS. And those are going to be the new data centers. What seems today like risky will be the default way of doing business 10 years from now. Between now and 2020, frankly, I don't know, because it depends on the timing of the market. Some companies will move fast, other companies will move much slower. But what is obvious is that by 2020, a huge part of that market will have totally morphed to the public cloud.
You want to be the standard of the PaaS?
Absolutely. We think that PaaS is the new platform of the cloud. And so much like in middleware, we've seen extreme consolidation in the last 10 years. We're going to see the same consolidation in the next 10 years. And we think that Cloudbees has a unique position to be one of the key leaders in that space.
Can we think of you on the PaaS as being some kind of the original operating system on the early PCs or something like this?
Yeah, absolutely. Some people think that the infrastructure as a service are more like the BIOS, yeah. And we are the new operating system, and the applications will be SaaS or your custom application, but we are the new operating system of the cloud, indeed.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sacha. Thank you.